A life upended Kilmar Abrego Garcia's deportation ordeal. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a 29-year-old Salvadoran national, found himself at the center of a bureaucratic nightmare in March 2025. He was deported from Maryland to El Salvador, a country he had fled years earlier. This deportation came despite Abrego Garcia having legal protection from removal. He had been granted this protection by a U.S. immigration judge in 2019. The situation has sparked outrage and raised serious questions about due process and the rights of immigrants. Abrego Garcia's life in the United States was abruptly halted when he was detained and deported. He had built a life in Maryland, working as a sheet metal apprentice and pursuing his journeyman license. He had a wife who is a U.S. citizen. The sudden deportation separated him from his family and his livelihood, throwing his future into uncertainty. The deportation sent Abrego Garcia back to El Salvador, a country he had fled around 2011 due to gang threats against him and his family. He feared for his safety upon his return, as the same dangers that had forced him to flee still persisted. Instead of finding refuge in the United States, he found himself trapped in a legal and bureaucratic battle, caught between the complexities of immigration law and the political climate surrounding immigration. The circumstances of Abrego Garcia's deportation highlight the human cost of immigration policies and the devastating consequences of errors within the system. His case has become emblematic of the struggles faced by many immigrants navigating the complexities of U.S. immigration law, often facing fear and uncertainty. As his case unfolds, it serves as a stark reminder of the importance of due process and the need for a just and humane approach to immigration. Legal limbo, protection granted, then revoked. Kilmar Abrego Garcia's deportation to El Salvador, despite having legal protection, exposed the complexities and potential flaws within the U.S. immigration system. In 2019, a U.S. immigration judge granted him protection from deportation, recognizing the legitimate threats he faced in El Salvador. This legal protection should have shielded him from removal from the United States. However, this protection was seemingly disregarded when Abrego Garcia was detained and deported in 2025. The reasons behind this action remain unclear, but the deportation occurred despite the existing order from the immigration judge. This discrepancy highlighted a potential breakdown in communication or procedure within the immigration system, resulting in a grave miscarriage of justice. The deportation order contradicted the earlier ruling that granted Abrego Garcia protection. This contradiction raised concerns about the consistency and reliability of legal protections within the immigration system. It brought to light the vulnerability of individuals who, despite having legal grounds to remain in the United States, can still face the threat of deportation due to errors or inconsistencies within the system. Abrego Garcia's case underscored the importance of ensuring that legal protections are upheld and that due process is followed in all immigration cases. The discrepancies between the 2019 ruling and the 2025 deportation raised questions about the checks and balances within the system and the need for greater accountability to prevent such situations from recurring. His case became a stark reminder of the human cost of bureaucratic errors and the urgent need for reform to create a fairer and more just immigration system. The Trump administration's stance, appeals, and accusations. The Trump administration's response to Kilmar Abrego Garcia's deportation further fueled the controversy surrounding his case. Instead of acknowledging the error and working to swiftly return him to the United States, the administration doubled down on its position, taking steps to oppose his return. The administration appealed the federal judge's order to return Abrego Garcia to the U.S., arguing that the judge overstepped her authority. They claimed that compelling the executive branch to engage with the foreign government in this manner was constitutionally problematic. This appeal signaled a continued resistance to righting what was clearly a wrong. Adding to the controversy, the White House labeled Abrego Garcia an MS-13 gang member, a claim vehemently denied by his lawyers. They asserted that there was no evidence to support this accusation and that it was a tactic to deflect from the government's error. This accusation, seen by many as an attempt to demonize Abrego Garcia and justify his deportation, further inflamed the situation. The Trump administration's actions in this case were consistent with their broader immigration policies, which were often criticized as being harsh and unforgiving. Their resistance to swiftly rectifying Abrego Garcia's wrongful deportation, coupled with the unsubstantiated gang allegations, raised serious concerns about their commitment to due process and the rights of immigrants. The administration's stance transformed Abrego Garcia's case into a flashpoint in the ongoing debate about immigration in the United States. The fight for return justice delayed, hope remains. Despite the Trump administration's opposition, the fight to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the United States continued. His lawyers remained steadfast in their efforts to secure his return, arguing that his deportation was a clear violation of his legal rights and a miscarriage of justice. They worked tirelessly to navigate the legal complexities of the case, seeking to hold the government accountable for its actions. The Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals became involved, requesting Abrego Garcia's lawyers to respond to the government's appeal. This development offered a glimmer of hope, suggesting that the court recognized the seriousness of the situation and was willing to consider the arguments in favor of Abrego Garcia's return. Adding to the complexity of the case, the Justice Department attorney who admitted in court that Abrego Garcia's deportation was a mistake was placed on leave. This action, while raising questions about internal pressures within the Justice Department, also highlighted the government's awareness of the error in deporting Abrego Garcia. As of April 6, 2025, Kilmar Abrego Garcia remained in El Salvador, separated from his family and living with the fear of persecution. The legal battle to bring him home continued, with his lawyers, advocates, and supporters holding on to hope that justice would prevail. His case served as a stark reminder of the human cost of bureaucratic errors and the urgent need for comprehensive immigration reform that prioritizes fairness, due process, and the dignity of all individuals.